up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum and happy Found Footage Fridays. We are back talking found footage on a Fridays with my co-host, Mike and Serial.
Hey everyone, hope you're having a great Friday and hope it's even better now that you're listening to us.
We have our work cut out for us with nominations, but for anybody curious about an update, we are getting through them.
Yes, we are working on it.
We are working on it. Well, it feels like I haven't watched any found footage in so long because we spaced these out in such a way where we didn't have to, we've had the lives and we had anyway. So it's like I feel like I haven't even like I could we were talking about this and we were like, oh yeah, the vampire movie. I was like, what was the other movie we were I couldn't even remember because it had been so long. But the movie we are going to talk about today is the 2025 found footage movie, The Night is Young. Short synopsis. Nora is a vlogger looking for love until she meets a vampire named Amelia who is being hunted by a leather clad group of vampire hunters. Nora and Celia race the clock to escape the hunters before the sun rises. This is only an hour 16. That's short.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, it felt a little bit longer than that, but the
I
second time
agree.
it moved quicker.
Yeah, I agree. This is on where's it on? Found?
Found TV.
Shocker. Found TV.
Our
All
favorite
right.
place.
Yeah, our favorite place for found footage. All right, unspoiled thoughts. What'd you think of this one?
Um, so I enjoyed this one. I feel like this is a found footage movie that has a lot of heart, which
Mm,
we don't see as much in found footage. I
yeah.
think this was definitely a character-driven movie. We are
Mhm.
supposed to care about the main characters in this movie.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of once you get to the good stuff of this movie, I think there's a nice little action sequence. It starts because it does start to get a little slow, but when it
Yeah.
picks up, I think it really goes somewhere with it that I quite enjoyed. I like the relatability factor of these characters, some of them. As a queer person myself and doing the like online dating,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
I found a lot of relatability and a lot of hilarious little anecdotal similarities
Yeah.
in what was happening throughout the movie. So yeah, I quite like this one. How about
Yeah.
you?
I'm probably falling middle or like middle like I don't know, mid for this. I do really like it. I love the idea that we're still after all this time still attempting to take vampires and do something different with them. I think there are definitely other vampire found footage movies, but it's not like there's an overwhelming amount of them. And so I like the idea that we're still doing that. I love things that are content creating related. I think those are always relatable things too. And I mean, we do that. So it's always something that it's just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Um, I think that Nora, the main character, I think as a lesbian trying to find love, I think she's very relatable and very funny because we get to see a glimpses of a couple of her dates and what the experience is like as a lesbian trying to find love. I mean, and it's got several tropes. It's got the swingers, it's got these other things, and it's very comical some of the pieces because you're just like, ooh, and then this idea of like switching that into like making it a vampire story. A couple of things that I think that you know, maybe a weakness for me was I did feel like there was some lulls. I felt like the story, behind Amelia and like her situation as a vampire probably could have had a little bit more depth to it.
Mhm.
As far as her, we'll get into a little bit more of what I mean in the spoiler section. But and then I kind of didn't. I kind of wasn't able to take the hunters very seriously. I thought they were kind of silly. And I don't know, maybe they're meant to be. I don't know that this is meant to be this like super hardcore like vampire movie, right? But that was just a couple things. But I did like this one. It was different. It was um obviously queer focus was a plus for me as well, and I did laugh quite a bit. And so yeah, it was a little, I would say, pretty refreshing on the found footage front when we decided we were going to watch it and talk about it. So,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely agree.
Um, what do you rate this?
Out of 10 videotapes, I'm giving this a solid 6. I think it's above average.
Yeah,
But again, it those lulls do get pretty lolly.
they do. Yeah, I agree.
um, and like you said, when it comes to the hunters, you don't take them as serious as maybe we thought we should. But what I'm looking when I did a rewatch of it, and
Mhm.
this is what kind of like I want to give it higher, but I think it is meant to be somewhat of like a horror comedy, but I don't think they pushed it enough
Yeah, yeah.
comical.
I gotcha.
And
Yeah.
that's where I'm like, because if that were the case, then obviously the hunters do make sense to be how they
Yeah,
were,
yeah, yeah.
but then push
Yeah.
it a little further, like
Yeah.
make it a comedy. Um,
Yeah.
so outside of those things, that's what kind of knocks it down for me. But I think it's a solid, slightly above average found footage film. And I think because of how unique, creative,
Yeah.
like we said, queer content creator, vampires, like everybody should be watching this just for putting a unique perspective out there
Yeah.
into the universe. And then maybe we'll get more stuff like this.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I am also giving it a 6. That's my score as well. I do really like it. And like you said, it is above average for me as well. I think the standouts are pretty much copy and paste what you said. I mean, it is a really unique story. It combines a lot of things that we do like to see in found footage. And um I think that I mean, I would even say this does a pretty good job of not unnecessarily filming. Like, there's not a lot of scenes where I felt like, "Okay, like, why are we" like, it takes a lot to kinda make me question that anyway, because 'cause I've just accepted it. They're still filming because it's a movie, people. That's the short answer. But I think in general, it handles it really well, and I find, even as kind of silly as some of the elements were, I did find myself kinda rooting for Nora and Amelia to end up, and you just kinda want them to be able to be happy and whatever. And I really like the idea of like they sort of accidentally find each other. It wasn't planned, and I really like that. Um, and they were very specific in the scenes that made the action and any type of gore or anything. They were very, I would say, very film smart about when they choose to have it because it's very mild, in terms of like the gore and stuff. It's there, but it's not like over the top or in your face. It's a lot more story driven, I think, than that. But yeah, I think it's one that's definitely worth checking out. It's an indie film. I do think that the way that it looks, I think, is very clearly indie, but I don't necessarily mean that in a negative way. I think if you go into this film, you're going to know there it's not like some massively high, crazy big production company doing it. But that kind of makes it endearing. So I do think people should be watching it on Found.
Yes,
On Found
absolutely.
TV. I watched their video. This isn't really related, but I watched their video that they posted, Monica and Louie, about their like location. Did you see the location video they
Yes.
did for Possession in Lincoln County? And I was like, I love you guys. Like it was cool to see. Like I'm just happy for them. They're doing such great stuff over there.
They really are.
Um,
I'm excited for the growth and how quickly, because
yeah.
FYI, viewers, we're closing in on 1 year of Found TV. The anniversary of Found TV comes up October 1st.
Yep.
So they've been doing
And
a lot.
and they told us when we talked to them that they had already met their full 365 quota
Oh,
by the
awesome.
end of the year, last year. So it had only been up for like a couple months and they had already met their 12-month hopes, right, for numbers. And so as far as viewership and things like that goes,
Yeah.
and all of the filmmakers that I interact with that have worked with them are absolutely smitten with them as well. And they just care so much. It comes from such a different place. I feel like them, obviously places like Netflix and stuff like that, where they're bigger companies. So you're just like a number. They're like, they don't put the time in. But I don't think Monica and Louis are like that at all. They genuinely care about the community, the viewers that are really into found footage, as well as the filmmakers. And I just think it shows. I think that's why they've been so successful, really. So,
Absolutely 100% agree.
all right, I'll put our little banner up and we can dive into some like specifics. Yeah, so the tropes that I was talking about, I don't want to give too much away about the dates, but she like meets someone that wants to move in right away. And that's a very lesbian trope, right? And then she meets the girl, and then her husband like shows up and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm cool with this. Are you good with this?" And then he's like talking to the brother and she's like, "Hold on a second." She's like,
Yeah.
"Ah." And I just thought some of those were really funny because it's like that is stuff that people like Thankfully, I haven't had to do online dating, but
I'm so glad you brought that up because that was actually on my talking point list because I
yeah,
wanted to ask you. I mean, we're both queer people, but
yeah,
obviously we have different experiences. But I did want to ask because I didn't, yeah, and I guess they're almost the same thing, but like the way you said it as a trope, in my head, I viewed these things obviously as stereotypes.
yep,
And obviously that's something as queer people in when we watch the media, stereotypes are very heavy and they're not always done in a way that feels like we're in on your joke.
yeah, it doesn't always feel respectful.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, I wanted to bring this up because I think this
Yeah.
was done so well. But again, not lesbian on this side.
No, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but I'm like, I think it was done in a way where I'm like, it was funny to me and I felt in on the joke because I feel like they didn't make
Yeah.
Nora this like stereotypical, let's
I
poke
think that's
fun at her.
I think that's the difference. You have the trope being presented to a lesbian, and the lesbians being like, "No." Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the reason, like, how you're saying how it doesn't feel like it's making fun of. It's more just like it just like a talking point almost. And
Yeah,
it's
it's like this is
like
what happens because it
she's
does.
like yeah, she's like, "I'm ready to," like, "Well, we talked about moving in," and she's like, "I'm sorry, what? Like, this is a first date." And she was like, "Oh," she was like, "I'm sorry, I just, like, I thought you liked me." And she's like, I do like you, but I also think that, like, there's time to,
That's
like, get to know each other and, like, and then the other one obviously was, like, a hard no. And then she got stood up, and then
yeah.
there was, like, so there's a lot of, like, these experiences where it's like I said, I didn't have to do online dating, thank God. But I actually think that's part of the reason I'm so keen on the idea of how they met so randomly, because even though, like, my partner and I met through work, it was like, I'm telling you, like, I just feel like that was just it was meant to be, like, and so it's like these group of things, like, she had reasons that she ended up working there, I had reasons that I ended up working there, and then when that purpose was fulfilled, neither of us work there anymore. And I just feel like I just really believed in that, or I believe in that. And so, like, seeing that they were just, she was like dealing with this whatever, and they just kind of meet by chance. And
Yeah.
then they connect really quickly. And they, anyway, so I think that's one of the reasons that I liked that part of the story so much, is because that part was relatable to me specifically. So
Yeah. And I thought that they had so much chemistry. I
I
really
agree.
loved the dynamic between
I
them.
agree.
And again, for this indie film, we've always said it. We will always give
Yeah.
grace to indie, especially indie found footage.
Yeah.
But we never shy away from the criticism that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes you do lack the finesse of veteran actors.
Yeah.
Where in this particular case, I really liked every single person. I
Mhm.
thought, again, with the exception of the hunter's believability, but the three main people that we're supposed to focus on, Nora,
Yeah.
Is it Amelia?
Amelia, and then
Amelia,
and then
and then the
Nora's brother.
brother.
Yep.
They, the chemistry between all three of them and what the chemistry was supposed to be was always perfect. I love the dynamic
Mhm.
between the brother and the sister, and I love that
Yeah.
he's her cameraman trying to help her find love, and he's just kind of like laughing at the situation too because he's like, this is ridiculous, but this is the
Uh,
content that they're putting out. Like,
uh-huh.
the relationships were so well done. You can tell that he cared for her when things were going down. He
Yeah.
did not care like what the end result was going to be. He wanted his sister alive. He wanted
Mhm.
to. He needed his sister.
Yeah.
And then between the two of them, like you felt that instant connection
Mhm.
as the story went on, it wasn't so far fetched that
Yeah.
they're falling in love in a night. And again, I know that's another little trope that happens, but it's also one of those like the chemistry between them. I'm like, you know what? This makes you believe sometimes people do fall in love right away. And I
And
really like
I
that
yeah.
aspect.
I think that people who are so quick to dismiss things like that don't understand that love is not stationary. It comes in stages and it grows. You can love someone at, level A, right? But as you get to know them, as you spend more time together, that love evolves over time. It turns into other things. For some people, that's raising families together, it's owning businesses together, it's having hobbies together, and you're going through life together. And so the level of love that you have from the first time you realize, oh, I'm in love with this person, to the level of love you have at the end of that relationship or throughout that it's not the same. It doesn't stay the same. And so it's like I remember, like, this is some love advice from Angel. I think that, like, when I was in like the 8th grade, we had this huge discussion in my English class with this teacher about the idea that, like, teenagers are treated like they can't feel adult emotions. So, like, things like, "Oh, well, you're sad, you'll just get over it because you're a kid,"
Mhm.
right? Or, "You're
Yeah.
angry, well, just stop being angry because 'cause you're a kid." Or, "Oh, you think you're in love, it's not love because 'cause you're just a kid." Like, and she explained it in a way where she feels like, "Don't ever let grown-ups tell you that you can't feel the spectrum of emotions, because while it may be different for you than it is for them, it doesn't make it any less valid." And I think that's true, because I tell, like, my fairy tale story all the time to my coworkers. We talk about it, and I'm like, "No, I'm serious." Like, the moment that we met, the moment that our eyes locked, I was like, "This is someone I need to know." Like, I just knew. And I had to prove myself because it was a weird situation at work. But it was one of those things where it was like, I just knew. Like, on some level, like, hopefully romantic, but in general, like, I just needed to know this person. And I think when people dismiss that, I'm like, ah, you're just boring. You gotta let fun things and exciting things happen without telling people that they're not real, because they are real. You've blocked yourself off. Now you're trying to make them do the same thing. Stop doing that. So I thought this was
100%.
completely believable. I mean, they add that element of Nora being like a reincarnation, sort of like this past. And I was like, I kind of was like, I was on board with that. I didn't hate that decision, but I also would have been fine if that had not been included.
Yeah.
Just
I agree
because
with that 100%. It was
just
not
because they
needed,
said,
but
yeah, I
I'm
bought
not
it.
turned off by it.
Yeah, no, I bought the chemistry. I didn't need for there to be a reason. I really didn't.
Yeah. And I think with what we spoke about earlier, because this is a short runtime, again, for
Yeah,
us, it didn't always feel so short. But I think that's because they, and while I do love that they put a lot of effort into that building chemistry between the three main characters,
yeah,
I think that because they focus too much from the too many bad dates to that long uh, part of her being stood up and meeting Amelia,
yep.
I think we lost, and this might be what kind of dampered the Hunters a little bit too, is I don't, I think we rushed into the she's a vampire, there's hunters, here's the action. And then all of a sudden the
Yeah,
movie moved so fast that it was over. And I'm like,
yeah,
still don't mind it.
yeah.
Love what we've had. Wish we would have fleshed out the direness of her being a vampire and her being hunted.
Yeah,
Just
it
a
that
little bit
part
more.
of it almost seemed a little too easy, right? I get that, yeah. I do kinda love this connection of them both, she turns, Nora becomes a vampire, and then there's, like, this whole idea that, like, Nora, Amelia, and her brother, like, go hunting together as these 2 vampires and this camera guy, and they wait for men to, like, harass women, and then they're like, "This is so easy, we will never starve if these are, like, the people," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's a mood." Like, I really liked that angle. It ends kind of abruptly after that, but I thought that that was like, I would sign up for a sequel of them just killing a bunch of men who harass women. I mean, get
Which
to work, ladies.
I'm hoping that's what it is because
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, there is gonna be a sequel.
Oh, I don't think did I know that? You may have told me. I forgot. I don't remember.
I
But
am not sure, but
give me
to my
that.
knowledge, there
Yeah.
is gonna be a sequel, and I
Okay.
am obviously hoping that it's the same story, the same
I do
people,
too. That'd be good. Yeah.
and hopefully we get some more fleshed out,
Yeah.
char extra characters. Because I the good thing, the way we moved, I think that the 3 characters that we have, the main characters, I think that obviously there's more that you can always build on them, but I
Mhm.
think they are fully fleshed out characters, so I
I
would
agree.
love to see what new story they bring in, and maybe just flesh that out a little bit more so that we're
Yeah.
not missing those side characters, impact.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm genuinely my hope for a sequel would be the 2 of them just killing men for an hour and a half. I would be down for that.
You're here.
And I think, or maybe finding some other add some other vampires to the mix too would be cool, or I don't know, I just think there's ways, um,
The
that,
one thing I don't want, though, and if I
oh,
feel like it'll happen, but I'll still
uh-oh.
watch it no matter what. I hope it doesn't become the same story, but in reverse, like, now we're looking for love for the brother.
Oh, yeah, that could very well be a case.
I feel like
Ma
something
and
about that feels like,
maybe the sequel has werewolves in it, and that's what his story is, his story
that I'll be
being
fine with that.
and
Throw
then we
it
have, like, the sister is now a vampire, and she's in love with the vampire, and then the brother meets this, like, girl that's, a werewolf, and now, like, I don't know.
vampire werewolf war, and then in
Could
the
be
3rd
fun.
movie, we get witches.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here for it. This is fun. I like it.
Exactly. Because again, I is this the strongest found footage movie? No. Is
Right.
it, again, something that is unique to found footage and horror in general, where I do feel, especially from an indie horror movie, I think this is deserving of a renaissance that everybody should be talking about this movie just because of its uniqueness. I think that we always say like original stories, oh my god, all they do is remakes, sequels, blah blah blah. Well, here you go. Original, fresh story. Hype it
Totally
up,
different.
please.
Yeah. No, I agree. No, I totally agree. Very, very unique. And that is what makes that is why it got 6 for me, is because it really is unique.
Yeah,
It's easy to forgive the other little, little like kind of things because the rest of it is so different. It's such and that's like it's hard because like we watch so much of this stuff that eventually it's like, oh, I can project the whole movie within the first like 7 minutes. And that gets old fast. And so I went into this relatively blind. You said a couple keywords. You said obviously it's found footage, it's queer, and it's vampires. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm
yeah,
in.
we got to do this one.
Yeah, we got to do this one. And so and I think it lives up to the sound of being unique. I think it is a unique experience. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely agree.
So go watch it on Found TV or
Yes, go
else.
watch it. Yes, go watch it. Go retweet whatever you read about it, post about it. Just get the
Yeah,
word out
share.
there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Well, I think that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Found Footage Fridays. Um, we got a lot of work to do, so we're going to go.
We're always
Thank you
working,
guys.
guys.
Always. You should see the voice notes, the length sometimes. Um, we use up all the minutes. Anyway, thank you everybody for hanging out with us on this episode of Found Footage Fridays. We hope you have a great rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and Mike and I will see you next week.